Yo, what's up YouTube? It's your boy Bobby D, and I'm back again with another hot and juicy video. And tonight, guys, I'm joined with Hair Moses himself, Steve Cook.
Bobby.
The man, the myth, the legend himself. Appreciate you being on my channel, Steve.
Happy to be here.
Yes, sir. And if y'all don't know, Steve has his own channel at Defeating Hair Loss, where I make an appearance all the time now. So
all the time. I love this model.
I'm like a weekly guest on there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
So I always try to help out Steve when I can, and he helps me. So we're good. What did they say? The teamwork makes the dream work.
Absolutely.
And tonight, everyone, we always talk about hair when Steve's here. And tonight, Steve, we've kind of talked about, my FUT procedures in the past and everything. So I kind of wanted to, explain what are the benefits of having an FUT procedure. I remember, 4 years ago now. It's been a minute since I had my first transplant. And talking to you when you kind of guided me towards an FUT procedure. The pros from which I remember you telling me was, if I decide to get off the preventative treatment, that my hair is still going to be just as strong, basically, and then also I can get more hair. What we say, plan on 2 procedures. So. Yep. I get more donor hair available. So those were the two main things for me were those points that you mentioned. And so is there anything else that you could point out for viewers?
Bobby, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me back. And yes, like this always seems to be, this is interesting that you have this question for me, and I'm happy to always talk about it because I could talk about it forever. Mm-hmm. The FUT, FUE thing, if you think about it, right, and it always sounds like I'm talking anti-FUE, and I'm not. If you think about it, if FUE was everything that they cracked it up to be, everything that they worshipped it for, why would anybody ever do another FUT procedure? As a matter of fact, I've always had this thought that if everybody can just easily do anything with hair, like any kind of transplant, doesn't matter, FUT, FUE, whatever they do, injectable, some pill, whatever, then my dream of leading everyone to the promised land of hair will be fulfilled. In other words, prices will come down. There'll be more competition. Everybody will be able to afford it. Of course, those doctors don't feel sorry for them. Instead of doing 1 patient or 2, they'll be able to do 10 a day because the price will be down, but their revenue goes up and everybody has hair. And that's fantastic. So why are we constantly talking about FUE, FUT? Well, because people wonder why. They see Bobby's channel, they see my channel, and they say, man, but I was just online and they said FUT's horrible. Well, that's sales and marketing. So Bobby, back to you, because this is your channel and this is what it's about, and you're fantastic. Look, your hair looks great, by the way.
Appreciate it.
So when we talked about FUT with Bobby versus FUE, it really came down to his planning, which another reason why I think he's such a wonderful young man is he's bright and articulate, and he follows the compliance of what you need to do to be successful in not just hair, but other things. So from a hair perspective, he said, just lay it out there, Steve, just tell me. Bobby happened to be one of those rare out there that could do either procedure. Well, what does that mean? He could do FUE because he had limited loss, because that's what FUE is really supposed to be for. He has pretty strong, really strong donor hair. And then he could do FUT because he has really strong donor hair and he has limited loss. So how does that make any sense? Well, it really depends on what you want to do with your donor. So that's where we talk about, I'm going to grab one of my little cheat sheets here. So I hope you can see this. So basically, this is the back of the head, obviously, and this is kind of a quick drawing of the safe zone. Now, right in the center is what would be an FUT scar, or an FUT incision, I should say. Let's stop talking about scarring for a second. So from an FUT standpoint, when we take that out and we bring it together, we close the wound, we bring the edges together. This area above the incision and this area below the incision is undisturbed. It's virgin. You have all this hair here to pull from in the future, and you have all this hair here. Now, FUE doesn't change what we're doing inside the safe zone, or very close to the safe zone, which was where this starts to get a little skittish. So let's just stick with the FUE. Extractions in a hair transplant procedure are going to be required to stay 100% inside the safe zone. If that's the case, this entire zone is going to be diffusely thinned. Now, online, they want to teach you that doesn't matter. It does matter. Sorry. I'm sorry to ruin everybody's party, okay? But that's the main reason why we constantly talk about FUE, FUT. Now, if you take 2,000 grafts out of there, you won't probably miss it at all. You never know. But if you have the wrong color hair, wrong color skin, and the contrast, maybe you will see a little bit of an impression of less hair in that zone. But when you do FUT, you don't. as long as you can cover that tiny little incision. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when it came to Bobby, Bobby said, well, you know, I don't know at this very moment before his first surgery if he was going to marry himself to medication like me. It's now been 19 years. He goes, Steve, I don't know. I'm under 30. Like, I don't know if I can do that. I'm like, then that it leans you more toward FUT. Then he said, you know, I really don't know my future. I mean, I've watched you, Steve, and I've learned from you. And it seems like maybe I might have a recessive gene somewhere from some ancestor that I might go bald one day. So how, if I put 2 surgeries potentially of FUE in the hairline, what's going to leave me from covering the rest of my scalp if I go bald? So these were the things that factored into his decision to choose FUT. Now, I guarantee you that 99% of all these online guys out there that you never know who they are, they're on these blogs, they're on these forums. I don't have anything against them. They have their own opinions. Would sit there shaking their heads and say, that's an FUE guy all day long. Why would you want a scar in the back of your head when you could do FUE? Well, they're not planning for the future. And let me tell you something, Bobby, I'm going to tell you this as well. You think you don't care when you're 50. You think you don't care when you're 55. You're going to care when you're 50. You're going to care when you're 55. So the point is we have to make sure we plan. Now he's wearing short hair in the back. You can't see any scarring. He's got a phenomenal new hairline. He looks fantastic. And if, God forbid, either he had to come off the medication, which is highly unlikely, or he decided to do it for whatever reason, or if he really started going bald, even with the medication, he has plenty of hair to go back into the kitty to transplant from to his head.
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to say, does that make sense? But I'm going to ask everybody watching, does that make sense? I can see them shaking their heads.
Yes, sir, Steve. Steve Michaels.
Did I get that right, Mom?
Yeah, you did. Appreciate it. That's why Steve's here. That's the hair Moses himself. Appreciate it, Steve, as always. Like Steve said, you know, I just got a haircut yesterday, and you can't even, you know, see a scar. And I've had 2 procedures, not just one. So
amazing.
Good job, Dr. McGrath. But and Steve, thank you for helping me with my journey. So I appreciate it.
One of the many. My pleasure.
Yes, sir. And as always, guys, check out Defeating Hair Loss, where I make an appearance. And be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. I'd appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.